Hello everyone, let's review for our quiz. So, let's talk about vectors. First thing, if I give you the component form of a vector, these are like directions. That means go right 1, down 2. This means go right 3, up 5. So, if I say plot V with the initial point at -3, 5, I will put a dot at -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. And then using vector V, I will go right 1 and down 2, and I will make sure I draw an arrow because if you're drawing vectors, the direction matters. So it starts here at -3, 5 and goes over 1, down 2. So this is vector V. And then plot U with initial point at 2, 2. So I start at 2, 2. And vector U says go right 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's vector V starting at 2, 2. Okay, and I labeled my vector, so cool. Wait, I might have labeled them backwards. So that's V. This is vector U. There you go. Okay, so I got them labeled. Sweet. You have component form, and the other thing is in terms of I and J. So what we're going to have to do now is take this vector, very similar to what we've been doing with polar. We're going to draw it. So 5 pi over 4 is in the third quadrant down here, and that is a 45-degree reference angle. So I have magnitude of 6 radical 2, and I need to find the x and y component. This is the same thing we've been doing with polar. I'm just going to go, let's say the cosine of 45 is x over 6 radical 2, and the sine of 45 is y over 6 radical 2, adjacent over hypotenuse. This is my x, this is my y. So when I multiply both sides by 6 radical 2, and we know that the cosine of 45 is radical 2 over 2, and it's going to be the same thing here. Let's see, what's that going to be? 6 times, this is 2 divided by, it's just 6. X equals 6, and y equals 6. This is isosceles, duh. So if it's 6, we're going to say this guy is 6, and this guy is 6, but they're both negative because we're in the third quadrant. So it's -6, -6 is the component form, and since it's a vector, we put it in the less than greater than signs. That's saying go left 6, down 6. And now in terms of I and J, -6i minus 6j. In terms of I and J just means split this apart using unit vectors where I is telling you to go left or right and J is telling you to go up or down. If they're negative, you go left and down. So that's the same thing in two different forms. Now I'm going to find 2v minus u in component form. So 2 times v, 1, -3, minus u is 2, 4. So that will be 2, -6 minus 2, 4. 2 minus 2 is 0, and -6 minus 4 is -10. So 0, -10 is my component form. And it doesn't say in terms of I and J, so I'll leave it like that. The next one, V plus U, if I add them together, so V is 1i minus 3j, and U is 2i plus 4j. When you add those together, I plus 1i is 3i, and -3 and +4 make 1j, so 3i plus 1j. Then it says find the magnitude of 2v. So 2v would be 2, -6. That's not right. Let's try that again. That's better. 2, -6. If I want the magnitude, I want to find the length of the vector. So v is 1, 3, so this is 2, 6. So I'll do 2 squared plus 6 squared. 4 plus 36 is the square root of 40, which that's 8 times 5, so we'll say that's 2 radical 10. So the square root of 40 is 2 radical 10. The absolute value bars mean magnitude, and that's a notation that you just need to understand. All right, let's plot some polar points now. So when the radius is negative, this is the trickiest. Let's start with the angle, -2 pi over 3. This is -1 pi over 3, so this is -2 pi over 3. But this would be +4, -2 pi over 3. So we're going to work backwards. +3, +2, +1. Wait, that's 5 actually. So this is 5. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now this is -1, -2, -3. That is -4, negative 2 pi over 3. Okay, so if the radius is negative, that means you go through the origin. You might want to watch the other video, but that's the weirdest thing. So if I wanted to write this in other ordered pairs, I would say, well, it's positive for 1 pi over 3. That's probably the easier way to visualize it. It's on the fourth ring, and this angle is pi over 3. Which you could say is positive for, taking the long way around, would be negative 5 pi over 3. So that angle is negative 5 pi over 3. And then the other one, negative 4, instead of saying negative 2 pi over 3, I could have said 4 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3. Because this angle is 4 pi over 3. So instead of going negative 2 pi over 3, going positive be 4 pi over 3. So all four of these ordered pairs are the same. They're all describing the same point in polar. That can happen. It's okay. Just you can describe the same ordered pair different ways. So 3, 5 pi over 6, 1, 2, 3, that's right there. That's 3, 5 pi over 6, which is also 3, comma, going the long way, would be negative 7 pi over 6. Or, if you want the radius to be negative, if the radius is negative, then you're describing this angle. So you could describe that angle as 11 pi over 6 or as negative pi over 6 over here. This is either 11 pi over 6 or negative pi over 6. When the radius is negative, you would then go through the origin to get to those. Let's find rectangular coordinates. So rectangular means I want x, y, and I'm giving you r theta. So this is a radius, and that's an angle. Let's draw it. Pi over 6 is in the first quadrant, and that is a 30-degree reference angle. The radius is 4. So this is almost exactly the same as what we just did with vectors, only now we're doing it with polar coordinates. So I'll do the x-coordinate, well, I should do the x-coordinate first if I'm going to say that. The cosine of 30 is x over 4, and the sine of 30 is y over 4. So if we know that the cosine of 30, what is the cosine of 30? Radical 3 over 2. Then we're going to multiply both sides by 4, because you multiply both sides by 4, so that means 4 divided by 2 is 2 radical 3, and the sine of 30 is 1/2. 4 times 1/2 is 2. So this is 2 radical 3, comma, 2 in rectangular form. This is 2 radical 3. That's positive 2. Let's see. Let's do another one. Negative 2, 3 pi over 2. So if I go to 3 pi over 2, this is 3 pi over 2. So right here, that's positive 2, 3 pi over 2. If I went negative 2, that would be positive 1, 0, negative 1. That is negative 2, 3 pi over 2, right there. Okay? So if the radius is negative, then you're on the other side. So to describe that in rectangular coordinates, it's on the y-axis, so it's just 0, comma 2. It's up 2. So 0, 2 is my rectangular coordinate. Let's do one more type of problem where we go from from rectangular to polar. So I want r theta, and I'm giving you x, y. So this is x, y. So left 3, down 3, left 3, down 3. It's like I'm drawing a vector. This is 3, and this is 3. When you do Pythagorean Theorem, 9, 18. So the square root of 18 is 3, 3, 2. It's 3 radical 2. So we have the radius is 3 radical 2. And then since this is isosceles, they're both 3. I know it's a 45-degree reference angle. So from 0, that's 5 pi over 4. So the radius is 3 radical 2, and the angle is 5 pi over 4. Because you're measuring the angle from the polar axis, we call it, right here. One more. Let's say we're in the first quadrant. We know the x and y coordinates are both positive, so I know I'm in the first quadrant. And it looks something like this. This is 5 radical 3 over 2, and this is 5/2. So first, I'll do Pythagorean Theorem. And I'll try and just type it in the calculator, because I think it's going to be nice. Let's do the square root of 5, well, I have to do in parentheses, 5/2 squared, so 25/4, plus 5 radical 3 over 2 squared. You get 5. Yeah, that's what I thought. So the magnitude is 5. And now I'm going to do inverse trig. I'll do inverse sine. So the inverse sine of 5 halves divided by 5. Now you want to be careful here that you're typing in opposite as its own thing. You can type it as 2.5 if it makes it easier. But this is 1/2. So yeah, 30 degrees again. We keep getting nice unit circle problems. 30 degrees. So now what I'll do is in polar form, the radius is 5 and the angle 30 degrees is pi over 6. So 5 comma pi over 6. So you might be asked to, let's go through all of them, draw vectors. You might be asked to find the component form of a vector. You might be asked to manipulate a vector's magnitude and do some operations with a vector in component form or in terms of I and j. And then you might have to plot polar points or convert coordinates between polar and rectangular. That's everything that you need to be able to do for the quiz. If you can do the study guide, you can do the quiz. So hit that like and subscribe.